Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Giga Bytes Podcast. If this is the first time hearing this podcast, my name's Ivan Colon El Giga. I've been a gaming journalist for the past 16 years, covering everything from the video game industry, consumer tech, movies, streaming, everything that has to do with pop culture. I'll cover it right here, but the main focus is video games. Like I said, I've been doing this for 16 years in radio, TV, movies. I've already done over 100 podcasts in Spanish, but I decided to do one in English since most of my downloads for the podcast are in the States. So and a couple in Europe. So if you're new listening to this, we will be talking about a bunch of stuff going on in the video game industry. Obviously, 2020's ending already. Finally, it's been a hard year for everybody. But the gaming industry has thrived during all this. We've had two great launches from Xbox and PlayStation. We got numbers, at least some rumored numbers for the PlayStation 5. They supposedly sold 3.4 million units in its first 4 weeks. That will be a record for a PlayStation console. They also Sony plans to sell, or at least to ship, between 16.8 million and 18 million units during 2021. So I know a lot of you have been given the chaff, basically, by scalpers, and many of you haven't been able to get the consoles. So eventually you will be able to get it. Don't overpay to get it. You'll get a shot soon. 2021 is going to be a great year. Sony has a lot of games confirmed for 2020. I'm sorry, for 2021. So it should be a great year for console gaming, PC gaming. Obviously, we also had the launches for the new NVIDIA cards, the new AMD cards. So it's been a really hectic year in when you look at every launch that we've seen this year. Now, I want to cover two things before we get going. Just to give you a heads up of what we're going to talk about during the podcast. Some of the games for PlayStation Plus that will be available during January have already been announced. I'll go over those in a second. I'm going to also tell you my top 10 games of the year. I already did this in a video in Spanish, but I'll be going through them here in this podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about Mandalorian Season 2. Obviously, that's one of the big topics for Star Wars fans. Wonder Woman 84. I know some of you have seen it already. It's been kind of divisive with the reviews. I got to see it about 2 weeks before it came out. Went to a press screening in Puerto Rico and got to see the movie before it launched. And Souls, the new Pixar film that is also available on Disney Plus. So let's get going. Like I said, it's been a great launch for Xbox and for PlayStation. It's been hard to get it's really been hard, very difficult to get the consoles for a lot of people with the scalpers and online-only stores that have been selling the systems. It's really been a tough year, and I know people have been getting desperate and paying thousands of dollars for the consoles. And I know some of you might have. This might be one of the first console launches you actually have been really paying attention to. But I've been working in the industry, be it in media, or before that I worked in stores when I was in college. And I've seen console launches since the PlayStation 2, since 2000. And it's always been hectic. Obviously, now with the online storefronts and the bot software and scalpers and everything, it's been a little bit more difficult than it used to be. Like right now, you can't really go into a store and just be there every day to see if well, depending on the area, to see if they got new systems, and they're selling out fast. People are really into the online marketplace, trying to resell the consoles at a higher price. Luckily, that's dying down a little bit. A lot of people are getting the consoles. We've had major restocks by Sony and Xbox. So I expect the next couple of months are still going to be kind of hard to get the systems. But eventually, it'll even out, and you'll be able to get them possibly not really easily, but it's not going to be as hard. So you might be able to get the consoles in the next couple of months. Obviously, when big games start coming out like Ratchet and Clank, God of War, and all these big games coming out in 2021, that's going to be a little bit harder. So without stepping into weird territory, I want to go to my Game of the Year 2020 list. I picked these 10 titles. This was a great year for console gaming and PC gaming too. I left out a bunch of games. It was a really difficult year. Thinking about how hard it's been with the COVID situation worldwide, and just getting a notion of how hard for these companies it has to be to just try and launch a successful game during this weird year. We've seen the movie theaters, like in the States, AMC has been having really difficult times. Regal too. The movie industry has had to really change their steps and focus a little bit more on streaming. We've seen it with Disney and with Warner Brothers, because it's unfortunately what's happening worldwide. So, but the gaming industry, we've been flirting with digital distribution for the past 10 years. It's becoming more and more important for most gamers. And right now, it really helped out to like sell most of these games, probably more than they would have if we possibly would have just seen them at the stores or had to go get physical copies. A lot of people are switching to digital because of this situation, and I know many of you that probably weren't accustomed to buying a lot of digital games are probably going to change their minds because of what happened, and a lot of people are going to start buying only online. So without further ado, this is my top 10 list of the best 10 games of 2020. This is my list. I know some of you have different taste or might think one's too high, one's too low. I left the game out. So I want to hear your comments. You can follow me in social media, El Giga 947. Giga as in gigabyte. 947. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, Twitch. You can find me on Facebook as El Giga. That's my fan page. You can just go over there and just shoot me up a comment. Any topic you want me to cover or any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer. So my number 10 game of the year 2020 is Ori and the Will of the Wisp. If you've never played the first one, this is an Xbox exclusive, or at least it was for a while. It's also available on PC. You can play it on the Switch. It's just a beautiful game. I love the first one so much. It's one of my favorite games this gen. Ori and the Blind Forest, the first one. Since I saw that game, I instantly fell in love. It's one of those beautiful games like Ico or Okami, games that maybe they weren't the biggest sellers in the world, but they just kind of click with me, you know? It's a Metroidvania style game, so you have a big map. You have to explore, get new abilities to open up new areas within the map. It's got hand-drawn graphics, so it's extremely beautiful. Great animation, great music. If you have an Xbox Series X, or I think the Series S too, you can run it in 120 frames, or it has a 6K mode, a 6K native mode, and it'll downscale to 4K, so it looks pristine. It's a beautiful game. If you're playing on the Switch, on Xbox, or PC, it's a must play for 2020. It's Ori and the Will of the Wisp. Number 9 of my top 20 games of 2020. It's Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls Remastered. If you've never played this game, I actually got to play a little bit of the first one on PlayStation 3 when it came out. Not the first one, the original one, when it came out for PlayStation 3, and it was a very good game with a lot of technical difficulties when it came out. It was really buggy. Frame rate wasn't good. But right now, with what they did for the PlayStation 5, besides it's one of the only games that it's only on PlayStation 5, it's a beautiful looking game. It's a hard game. It's difficult. So if you like the Souls games or Sekiro or Neo or any of these games, Bloodborne, then Demon Souls is going to be right up your alley. But it's a beautiful, stunning game. It's one of the best looking games around right now, and it's totally worth a shot. Even though it's a PlayStation 3 game, Blue Point Games did a great job simply remaking this game and showing us what the PlayStation 5 can do, and what these great titles with a new coat of paint, better frame rate, and more power in the systems, you can get the actual experience we should have gotten when it eventually when it originally came out. So Demon Souls for the PlayStation 5, that's my number 9 game of 2020. Now, if you jump to number 8, this is another remake, but it's a similar story to Demon Souls. The only thing is that the original games, they didn't have any technical difficulties or problems. They were great games when they came out, some of the best games around. And, of course, I'm talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. If you've never played the original ones on PlayStation or Dreamcast or 64 or wherever you got to play them back in the day, these games are just fun. These are the epitome of fun. The first 2 titles in the series are just amazing. They have great soundtracks. They're probably the best extreme sport titles that ever came out. They're just fun. They're so fun. And this remake, they look great. They play great. Mixing up both titles together was a very smart move. I don't see any faults with it. It's really addictive to. If you never played Tony Hawk before, you might have not played it. You get a set time to do a bunch of tricks, and get a bunch of parameters inside each one of the skate parks, and then you can advance and get better stats or get more gear, or just advance inside the game. And it's so addictive, man. When you start pulling together strings of tricks and getting these high scores, and just getting everything you have, every collectible inside each one of the skate parks. It sounds really mundane, but it's so fun. Plus, the soundtrack's amazing. I think they have the soundtrack on Spotify, and you should check it out. They have everything from hip hop to like I don't know, like 90s rock. It's amazing. It's a great game. Anybody who's anybody should play this game. So, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. That's my number 8 game of 2020. Now, going down to number 7. This was a total out of the blue surprise for me. I didn't see this game at E3. I kind of passed by it. Not last year, not this year, but the year before. And it wasn't on my radar. And then I saw the trailer. I'm like, this looks interesting. I want to try it out. And they put it up for free on PSN. By the way, I gotta talk about the January games on PSN and PlayStation Plus. But they put it out on PSN for free. I don't remember what month it was, but it's Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, and this is one of the games I've basically played the most this year. It's totally addictive, easy to play. I gotta be honest, I haven't won a crown yet. I haven't been number 1 in any of the rounds I played. I've come up second a bunch of times, and it's really frustrating, but it's so fun and so easy to just pick up and play. The people at Revolver, they've been really good updating the game and changing different things that maybe didn't work as well, and adding new content. And it's just addictive. It's fun. It's a colorful game. I recently bought with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox. I got an LG CX or the C10, depends where you live, and the OLED TV, and it's beautiful. And this game's so colorful, it just looks great. So if you haven't played a Fallout Ultimate Knockout, it's one of the best games of the year. It's so fun. If you're playing on a PC or a PlayStation, doesn't matter. If you don't own a PlayStation or don't have a gaming PC, I'm hoping it comes out for other systems. Maybe even mobile, or maybe Xbox or Switch. Nothing that I remember right now that I can remember has been announced for releasing on other platforms. But it's a great game. It's so fun, man. It's one of these games that you go like, you know what? That's the type of game that you can really sink yourself into and just pick up and play. It's one of those titles that you say, well, maybe I'll play for an hour, and you end up playing 3 or 4. It's so fun, so addictive. It's anybody can play it. It's an easy pick up and play game, and it's really hard to master, but it's really fun. So, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. That's my number 7, the top games of 2020. Jumping to number 6. This is another game that basically everybody can play if you own a PlayStation 5. It's actually pre-installed in the system, and it's Astro's Playroom. And if you own a PlayStation 5, it doesn't matter if you buy the digital console or the disc-based console. You're going to have to install whatever game you're going to play. If you're going to download a PlayStation 5 game or you're going to install a disc, it's going to take some time. Even though it's kind of fast, it's going to take some time. So do yourself a favor and play Astro's Playroom. It's pre-installed in the console. I think there's a small update when you first get the system. First of all, it's the best game to really show you what can be done with the DualSense. And I gotta say, the DualSense is just amazing. That's one of the best things I've felt while playing in forever. I don't even remember the last time I was so impressed with a peripheral. So Astro's Playroom is a great platform game. It's one of the few games that actually Sony internally have filled up with nostalgia for the 25 years of PlayStation. They didn't even mention the 20th anniversary of the PlayStation 2, the biggest selling console of all time, and they basically didn't even mention anything. And that was strange to me. I thought that was a perfect time to release the PS5 during that week when on the ending of October. When the PlayStation 2 was released. So that was always strange to me, but this game is full to the brims with just memories of PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, PSP, PSP Go, PlayStation Vita, PlayStation VR, anything and everything, even Pocket Stations in there. Anything and everything that came out of PlayStation since the original launch in the 90s is here, and you get to see a lot of callbacks to a lot of the different franchises that, even though they're not Sony owned, they're basically known as Sony franchises. Like for example, Tekken. I'm a big Tekken fan, and you get some nods there and some really obscure games and references that most people probably won't figure out. But it's such a great game. It has a lot of heart. It can really use the DualSense in some really fun and creative ways. And it'll open your mind to what can be done with the DualSense further down the road. So if you own a PlayStation 5, don't erase it. Just try it out. Give it a couple of minutes. You'll love it. It's such a fun game. If you ever played the Astrobot Rescue Mission for the VR, for the PlayStation VR, that's possibly one of the best VR games out there. It doesn't matter which system you own. If you own an Oculus Quest or PlayStation VR or HTC Vive or whatever, that's just one of the best games you can play on VR. It's so fun, and it really demonstrates what you can do with a platform game using a VR headset. So in the case of Astro's Playroom, it does the same and more with the DualSense. So if you own a PlayStation 5, like I said, try it out. It's free. It's included in the system. It's already pre-installed. So knock yourselves out and have some fun. Now, going to my number 5 top game of 2020. It's Marvel's Spider-Man's Miles Morales. And I know there was a lot of people, probably haters, that they were saying this is the DLC. This isn't a full game. You're just getting a new skin for the game. It's couldn't be the furthest from the truth. It's a very fun game. It's definitely not as long as the first Spider-Man game, but it's got a great story. Miles is a great character. He has a lot of different powers than the original Spider-Man. From invisibility to the Venom Punch, it uses the DualSense in a lot of cool ways too. Plus, one of the best things, it's one of the best looking games out there. And Insomniac has done a lot of things, a lot of updates since the game came out. It right now has possibly the best mode in the game. It has a couple of performance and quality modes, and it has a performance RT mode that features 60 frames per second gameplay and ray tracing, and it's just amazing. It looks beautiful. It runs super smooth. It's so fun. It's great to just explore the city, and it can show, even for a launch title, what you can do with the new generation of consoles. It's so fun. I enjoyed it so much from top to bottom. It's just a great game. And most of the things that people probably didn't like a lot about the first Spider-Man, like the Mary Jane missions, none of that's here. So you're basically playing basically 100% of the time you're Miles, and it's a great game. And if you're one of those people who like using the photo mode, it has one of the most robust photo modes we've seen in a game. Doesn't matter the console. So it's a beautiful game. My number 5, my 5th best game of 2020, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. It's just beautiful. You should go play it out. And it's also available on PS4. So, jump into number 4. This one could have been really bad, but it didn't. It didn't mess up what it had going for it. And I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you ever played the first one, the original Final Fantasy VII when it came out in the 90s, it's well known as one of the best RPGs ever made, at least JRPGs ever made. It's a beautiful game. It was amazing. Had great characters. I don't think any RPG or many other games, it doesn't matter the genre, have as many well-liked or just iconic characters than Final Fantasy VII. From Barret to Aeris, to Cloud, to Sephiroth, Red 13, all these characters are just iconic. You know, they have probably the best cast in any RPG and most any game you can see or you can play in the history of the industry. When it came out at the beginning of the year in March, I thought it was fantastic. I played it at E3 the year before. I played the demo when it came out. The battle system's great. The combat is flawless. I really like how they mixed the whole turn-based stuff with action gameplay. It's got way better action than any other Square Enix game, at least Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts type action RPG titles. Visually, it's amazing. It's a beautiful looking game. Character models are off the charts. Voice acting's great. That's one of my main. That was one of my main worries when the game was coming out. I was thinking if they mess up the voice acting, it's gonna be really awkward and it's gonna just kill the experience. But it's really good. And I know they took a part of the story and made this whole game. And some people think this is just an expansion. The same thing with Spider-Man. This is just an expansion, and it's not the full story. But the way they played it out, they really, really expanded on what was basically part of Final Fantasy VII. It feels like a full game. It's a long experience. It's got weight to it. So a lot of cool things happen. There are a lot of moments that even if you played the first game, they're gonna surprise you without really changing the main story. Really, it's just a beautiful. It's amazing. It's a great game. Any other year, it could have been Game of the Year easily, but 2020 has been a very, very, very good year for gamers. So that's why Final Fantasy VII Remake is my number 4 title that came out in 2020. So. Jumping to number 3, and this really surprised me how good it was. I'm a big fan of the series. It's actually the first big third-party game that was announced for the new consoles for the PlayStation 5 and Series X, and it's Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm a big fan of the series. My 2 favorite games are the second Assassin's Creed and Black Flag. This one's right up there. And I gotta say, one of the main things that I think kind of took me a little bit off the last two games, which were great, but I think it lost a little bit of the Assassin's Creed vibe. And another thing, if you walk out after Ezio, really none of the other characters that have come afterwards have really clicked with me. Even in Black Flag, Conway, I never felt anything for the character. I really didn't care for the story. Loved the game, didn't care for the story. Valhalla is different. Eivor is a great character. One of the possibly my second favorite character in the series after Ezio, and really close to Ezio. Gameplay is great. I love the whole the building of the settlement. You keep building your little settlement in England. The raids are really fun. Exploration is great. It's a beautiful looking game. Action, the combat, I really dig the combat. It's one of the best Assassin's Creed in gameplay, in my opinion. I don't really I haven't used the boat that much, but I dig when they do use it. But it's just an all around great game. Great story. The environments, it's beautiful. Obviously, all this Norse mythology era is great. It's basically when the regions are invading England, the Vikings, and it's a great time. I finished watching Last Kingdom just before the game came out. I think it was like a couple of weeks before it came out. I finished watching the series on Netflix. And I was really looking forward to this game, and I really enjoyed it. It could have been so disappointing, but it's not. And if you're playing it on the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X, it runs great, and it's a beautiful game. It's totally worth playing. That's why it's my number 3 title that came out in 2020. Now, jumping to number 2. This was really difficult for a while. Until I really thought it over, and it was just the right move. But my number 2 title for 2020 is Ghost of Tsushima, and this game is just beautiful. It's one of the best games of this generation. If you haven't played it yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's a beautiful game right now on PS5. It's running on 60 frames per second. The way that Sucker Punch built this game. It's got amazing combat. It's got a great exploration of the island. Just the way they build this Tsushima Island, it's beautiful. It's got a great variety of different elements that you find around the island. Some parts that are more like tropical, and then you get some mountain areas and just like forest and swamps. It's got a lot of variety for a game based on an island. Story-wise, the story is great. I really love Jin Sakai, the protagonist. He's one of the best characters that we've seen recently, at least new characters that have come into the industry. Acting's great, action's great. The how you manage your different abilities and powers is awesome. The duels are amazing. They're so cinematic that they're really awesome. Also, you can do there's a thing called face-offs, standoffs. I'm sorry. When you're gonna fight against a group, you can basically hold a button, and it's like a mini duel. And once you level that up, you can kill 4 or 5 characters in just a single swing, and it's the coolest looking thing ever. The game's beautiful. It's got a great photo mode too. This one really has a lot of different filters and things you can use. This is one of the games where I think it's possibly, besides Spider-Man and Horizon, it's one of the games where I've taken the most pictures and just published them on Instagram and whatever. It's just a spectacularly beautiful game. Music is awesome too. There's some camera problems here and there, but it's manageable. It's an expansive experience, and besides all of this, Sucker Punch went out of their way and they put out Ghost of Tsushima Legends, their multiplayer expansion for free. And basically, you have a co-op multiplayer experience, like a horde experience and some raids. And it's just really fun. And it delves into the whole mythology thing, which they don't really touch in the main story. But it's just a beautiful game. If you're looking for something great to play, not good, great, Ghost of Tsushima is one of the favorite games this year. I remember the first time I saw it, I got to interview some of the devs, and they told me their inspiration. Some of the movies like Hero and Kurosawa movies. It has a Kurosawa mode where you can play the whole game black and white. It's all windy and raining, so it gives you that old school 1950s samurai film. It's just amazing. It's a beautiful game. It's a must play title. And any other year, same thing I said with Assassins and with Final Fantasy. Any other year, this could have been the game of the year easily. And I know for a lot of people it is, because I've heard you. I've heard what everybody's been saying. It actually won the fan vote on the Game Awards for the best game of the year. So that was amazing. But it's not my number one title of the year, and everybody knows what that is. And it's The Last of Us Part 2. This is one of the best games I've ever played, bar none. I've been reviewing games professionally for 16 years, covering the industry and TV, radio, print media, web, whatever. And this is one of the most impressive pieces of software I've ever gotten to try. From start to finish is amazing. It's amazing. The story, it's possibly the best story ever put into a game. Voice acting and the motion capture are just impressive. Naughty Dog's the best in the industry. Just crafting a story inside a game. But that doesn't retract from the fact that the gameplay is great. It's got a bunch of tense moments. It's got intense action. It really brings out a lot of feelings in the player. Like every NPC you find around the game, any enemy you might need to get rid of to move forward in the story, they have names. Some of their companions, they call out to them when they find their bodies or when they're not answering. Same with the different animals like the dogs. It's such an intricate piece of work. Story-wise, what they did with the story, it's something that can't be done in any other medium. It can't be done in movies or TV or in books or any other medium. Cannot replicate what they did with this story. And I know a lot of people got mad about some of the. I'm not going into spoilers here, but a lot of people got mad at what happens. At a lot of things that happen during the game. But that just means that the story works. Like all the conversations I've heard, like when people that actually play the game, not just trolls, just shouting and kicking and screaming without playing the title. It's some of the best, most evocative narratives we've ever seen in a game. We've had problems with some games that had crappy stories or a bum ending like Mass Effect 3, or people didn't like something that went on in the story or whatever. The way it plays out in The Last of Us, it's just amazing. I mean, it has some really shocking moments. It has some really sweet, subtle moments. It's just filled from top to bottom with everything that makes a great game. And I've been talking to people a lot when I do my lives, my live streams, and I talk to the fans and I answer questions. And one of the things that people say, this game might be this or that or whatever. Every time I talk to somebody who's actually trying to pick a bone with The Last of Us, I really ask them, okay, tell me any aspect of the game. Tell me a game that's markedly better at doing that thing, be it audio, visuals, gameplay, controls, story, music, motion capture, performance capture, anything. Every aspect of this game is top notch. This is the total definition of a AAA game. It's just amazing what Naughty Dog did with this title, and to have this game come out the same year that these other 10 titles came out, and a bunch of other games that didn't make my list. Great games like Flight Simulator, like Neo, Animal Crossing. We had a fantastic year. Doom Eternal. There are just so many great games that came out in 2020. It was an amazing year for gaming. I know our lives have been really different since everything happened with the COVID situation worldwide. But as a gamer, it's been a beautiful year. We've seen some amazing games. And like I said, I think The Last of Us right now is the pinnacle of gaming. There's nothing close to it. Everything it does better than anybody else. And that's really rare to say. The first one, in my opinion, was one of the best games ever made. This one is better in every respect. It's just an amazing piece of software. And kudos to the team at Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann, who I met a couple of years ago, talked to him for 5 minutes, whatever. And it's just amazing. And I'm just dying to see what they're going to do with the HBO series. So I think it's Craig Mason and Neil Druckmann and somebody else is going to be working on the story and on the TV series for HBO. Everybody knows HBO does amazing series, so I'm really stoked about what they're gonna do with The Last of Us. So that's my top 10 list. I want to know what you guys think. Any titles that maybe you think are out of order, or titles that I left off, or titles you can't believe I put on this list while I left others off. and I know it's gonna happen, but that's part of it, guys. This is my list, my top 10 games. 2020, an amazing year for gaming, horrible year for everything else, but yeah, that's the way we're going for it. So before I finish this first English podcast, I got to talk a little bit about Wonder Woman 84, Mandalorian Season 2, and Pixar Souls. I'm going to start with Wonder Woman. I was actually going to start with Mandalorian. I'm going to leave that to the end so I can touch a little bit on some spoilery things. Don't worry, I will say if I'm going to talk something that might spoil your experience. But Wonder Woman 84, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I got to see it like 2 weeks before it came out, the 25th. Like halfway through December, I got invited to a press screening for the movie. This is the third movie I've seen since COVID. I saw New Mutants and I saw Tenet for press screenings after the pandemic started. So and Wonder Woman 84. And I gotta be honest, I love the first film. I think the first film's fantastic. Only problem I've ever had with that film is really the ending. It really feels like an old school video game ending, like a crappy boss battle. And I never liked how they treated Ares. The actor they picked, I don't remember his name. He's the one who plays Lupin on Harry Potter. I don't know, man. It just didn't work for me. I know it's such a good movie, and that really took me out of the whole excitement of the film. But besides that, I think it's one of the possibly one of the best DC live action movies, without counting obviously the Batman films. But when I saw 84, I enjoyed it. Not as much as the first one, I gotta be honest. I thought it was fun, but there's something. The whole DC universe has to do something with the special effects. They're just bad. They're 10, 15 years behind anything that Marvel is doing, or Star Wars, or many other movies that rely on CG characters. It just feels outdated. I mean, even if you compare with something like I don't know, like Stranger Things or Game of Thrones, or I don't know what else, like Umbrella Academy. It just, the effects don't really work. Like when you see Wonder Woman running full speed, it looks really fake. And if something recently came out that looked better, I could say, well, yeah, it came out a couple of years ago or last year or whatever. But Civil War did it, I don't know how many years ago, and there's a scene where Captain America and Winter Soldier and Black Panther are all running down the tunnel, and it looks real. Everybody knows it's not real, but the effect looks amazing. They actually look like they're running that speed without looking fake or CG-ish or whatever. And in Wonder Woman, it has a bunch of scenes where the special effects are simply underwhelming. Not as bad as Steppenwolf in Justice League, but pretty bad. And if you see everything that's happened since they started this whole movement with the new DC movies, special effects has been a big problem. Like the Henry Cavill mustache. What else? Steppenwolf, obviously. The parademons. Everything looks, I don't know, it looks weird. They should really think about putting a little bit more time into the special effects. Even Aquaman, I really enjoy Jason Momoa as the character, but the movie, it was kind of all over the place, and the special effects were really bad. Plus, every 5 seconds you had a reaction explosion, like you're talking to somebody, just something blows up next to your face, and that happened like 5-6 times in the movie, and it's just, I don't know, it took me out of the whole experience. And in Wonder Woman 84, I really enjoy Pedro Pascal in Mandalorian and Game of Thrones and in Kingsman. I think he's really cool, but it's just a useless character. Max Lord, I think his name is. I didn't really like the character. I think Kristen Wiig's fine, but she didn't really have much to do in the movie. At the beginning, yes, when she was Barbara Minerva, I really dug her character. But after she starts, and spoilers alert, sorry, but after she starts turning into Cheetah, she just gets too cartoony. And I didn't like the fights. The whole fight choreography wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't up to snuff. And outside of the tank battle that you see in the trailers, there's really not much action in the movie. I really dug Chris Pine. I think he's great. Obviously, everybody knows he's in the movie. I don't know, man. It's not a bad movie by a long stretch, but it just feels so underwhelming. It feels disappointing. It feels like it could have used a couple of more months or some major changes to just, I don't know, make it a better movie. And like, I saw the movie, like I said, I saw it in the press screening. And when it came out the 25th for Christmas, I saw it again at home with my girlfriend, my son, and we started, she didn't really like it either. And afterwards, we saw Shazam, which she hadn't seen yet. And I saw it when it came out, and she really enjoyed it. And watching it again, I'm like, you know, if they wanted to get a more lighthearted feel to these movies, that's the way to go. I mean, I thought Shazam was so fun. I really like it a lot. It's a lot better than what they did with Wonder Woman 84. I hope for the next one they really I don't know, they take a step back and see what actually worked with the first movie, because I love Gal Gadot on the as Wonder Woman. I think Patty Jenkins is great. I don't know what happened with this film, but it's worth watching, but it's not great. So temper your expectations if you haven't seen it yet. If you have, I want to listen to your opinion too. Like I said, it's not bad. It's not great. So that's all it is with Wonder Woman. It's a decent film. Before I step into Mandalorian and Soul, the Pixar movie, I mentioned before on the PlayStation blog, they already announced the games that are coming out on PlayStation Plus for January. So for PlayStation 5, and this is for PlayStation 5 only. This one won't work on PS4, even though the game's on PS4. This is basically the same thing they did with Bugsnax, that you can't download it on PS4. You can only download it on PS5. They're putting out Maneater. That's the shark game. It's a decent game. It's pretty cool. And for PS4, we're gonna have two titles: Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is awesome, and Greedfall. So those are the three games that are coming out for the three systems. I know Maneater had some fixes for the PS5. I don't remember what they are, but still, it's another free PS5 game. And basically, you can play Shadow of the Tomb Raider. You can also play Greedfall on your console. So all games will be available until Monday, February 1st. So yeah, it's coming out January 5th. You're going to be able to download these games as part, if you own PlayStation Plus, obviously. And in the case of Maneater, if you own a PlayStation 5, you can download these games and just keep them in your collection while you pay for PlayStation Plus. So yeah, so that's basically what's going on with the PlayStation Plus collection. Now, going to Souls, the Soul, the Pixar movie. Contrary to Wonder Woman, the movie came out as well on December 25th, on Disney Plus. I hadn't seen it before. I hadn't had a chance to see it before. I really liked it a lot. It really feels like a Pixar movie. It's not their best film by a long stretch, but it's really good. It has a lot of heart. It deals with music, musicians, regrets. It feels like one of these adult Pixar movies that are more geared towards adult sensibilities than for kids. I don't know if you get my drift where I'm going with this, but I liked it a lot. I don't know how much kids will like it. I think visually it looks great, but it's not as maybe as colorful or as vibrant as other Pixar movies. Music is great. The story is awesome. I loved it. I think it's a really cool movie. I don't know how good it is for not how good, but how enjoyable it is for kids. I saw it kind of like thinking about myself and I was putting myself in the character's shoes. So it was a really interesting movie, but I don't know how enjoyable it might be for kids. Like maybe something like In and Out was, which even though it was really deep, it was also very colorful, and it had a lot going for it in that aspect. So it's out on Disney Plus, and both of them, Wonder Woman and Soul, are both in theaters too. If you're inclined to go to a movie theater, those are two of the movies you can check out if you want to go to the movies. Or Wonder Woman 84 is going to be for the next 3 weeks, I think. It's depending when you're listening to the podcast. It's going to be available on HBO Max, and Soul is going to be possibly permanently available on Disney Plus. So, continuing with Disney Plus, obviously, this is a kind of spoilerish review of Mandalorian Season 2. And like I said, this year has been great for gaming. Hasn't been great for movies. It's been pretty good for streaming, especially these two streaming services, especially Disney Plus. Disney has really grown a lot, and even Netflix, and we've seen a lot of cool content coming out. Umbrella, the second season of Umbrella Academy, it's awesome. I really haven't seen many series this year. I haven't finished yet. The Raised by Wolves on HBO. I really dig it. It's really hardcore sci-fi. I think it's really Scott, but it's a really cool show. And I want to watch Warcraft Country. I don't remember the name of the series. I started watching the first episode, but I really haven't had the time to finish it. And I don't know if this year was when Watchmen came out. If it was, that's one of the best series this year. It's just amazing. But jump into Mandalorian. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. It's possibly one of my biggest fanboy things. I own a bunch of helmets and lightsabers and collectibles and stuff. And I gotta say, the first season of Mandalorian, I liked it a lot. It had some amazing moments, great ending, but it also had a lot of filler episodes. And as a fan of Clone Wars and Rebels, I love Dave Filoni, but he does that every once in a while. He does have some filler episodes that are just there, and they really don't move the story along. Some of them aren't even that great. And that happened a lot in Mandalorian season 1. I'm sorry. For the longest time during the first season, I thought I kind of enjoy it, but nothing's happening, and that happened for possibly the first month when the series came out. First 3-4 episodes after we saw Baby Yoda for the first time. Now for season 2. All of season 2, I think there's one filler episode. It's the one when there's a crash. Spoilers ahead. There's a crash in the snowy ice planet with the spiders or whatever they were, the crab spider things. That episode wasn't great. I didn't really enjoy the whole frog person, the frog lady or whatever that was with him. The frog alien. I don't know, with the eggs. I didn't even like the makeup, the whole prosthetic thing with a frog. I didn't like the suit. It looked kind of crappy. But besides that, this season was amazing. It's one of the best Star Wars things that's come out since Rogue One. Everything was cool about it. We got a lot of cameos, a lot of callbacks, and it could have been just done like what they did in the prequels, or like they did in the sequels trilogy, where they're just calling out things for nostalgia's sake, you know. Here it makes sense. Everything from, and everybody knows, so here I'm going full spoilers. Everything from Boba Fett, Ahsoka Tano, Thrawn, obviously the big one. Well, before the big one, they also had what's her name? Bo-Katan. Darksaber. We saw the vats with Snoke, the clones floating around, the Shadow Troopers, everything was so cool, man. The Boba Fett armor. I don't remember the name of the character that's played with what's his name? Timothy Olyphant, that he played, the guy that originally had the Boba Fett armor. The series, that looked amazing. That was a great episode. Sand people, and obviously at the beginning, at the end of season 2, we finally see Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker kicking ass. Obviously, it's a CG with a CG face, and it's a younger actor playing doing the body work. But it was just amazing. It's as cool, if not better, than the hallway scene with Vader. It was just played perfectly. It's such a beautiful scene. Then you get the big scene at the end, the post-credit scene, the new announcement for the new series coming out in 2021 for the Book of Boba Fett. We already heard during the investors meeting, the Disney investors meeting, that a lot of new content's coming out for Star Wars, be it movies or series. They also confirmed that they're gonna do an Ahsoka Tano spin-off series and Rangers of the New Republic spin-off series, possibly with, I think they confirmed what's her name? Cara Dune, the ex-MMA fighter. I forgot her name. She's gonna be one of the protagonists in the series. I think Carl Weathers is also gonna be in that series, and they're gonna have a big event where everybody's gonna show up Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and the Rangers. So I think that's gonna be like a big face-off against Thrawn, and that sounds super cool. So, like I said, I'm a big Star Wars fan, a big pop culture fan. Dying to see what they're gonna show us with WandaVision in January. I want to see that, man. That looks just so fun, and I really like the direction where that Disney's going with most of their series. Even though Wonder Woman 84 wasn't what I expected, I'm still really excited to see what they're gonna do with future films and TV series and whatever. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out. So if you're a geek, you're a pop culture enthusiast like me, 2021 is gonna be great. A lot of great TV, a lot of great movies, bunch of great games. Possibly you get the chance to get a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox, or maybe one of those powerful PC cards coming out that are also really hard to get. So, well, this is my first English podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. My name, like I said, is Ivan Colon, El Giga 947 on social media. You can look me up at Instagram, Twitter, or Twitch as El Giga 947, or just as El Giga, ELGIGA, on Facebook. And you can just shoot me up over there, and please subscribe to the podcast, follow, and comment. I want to know what you guys think. If you want me to cover any specific topics, or you want me to talk about anything, or you have any questions that you want answered on the podcast, well, be my guest. So thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for listening to the podcast. If you have some friends, share. Please share so we can get that audience going in the States. My name's Ivan Coronel Giga. Like I always say in Spanish, mi gente, seguimos jugando, so let's keep on playing.